Hello, students. Welcome to our guest speaker today. We have Marcie Grube here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about how she got to where she is doing social media marketing, all different types of marketing, mainly in the nonprofit sector. And I'm going to let her tell her story, and then she's going to go over some of the questions that you guys turned in last week to me. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Isabella. And hi, everyone. How's the staying home going, your staycation? Hopefully you all are well and happy and healthy. So my name is Marcie Grube, and I, for almost a decade, was the social media manager at Helen Woodward Animal Center. I have since transitioned to a small recruiting agency. We recruit for mostly executive fundraisers for the nonprofit world and also for the higher education world. So it's nice because I really do have a heart for nonprofit work and the nonprofit sector, and in the job that I do now, I get to kind of still touch it and still be involved without, being in the trenches, so to speak. But my work history has gone from financial services. I used to run from one financial planner. I would do email to clients, marketing email, marketing pieces, all the way to churches in North County. I've worked for a couple churches up here in Carlsbad. Here, hopefully the light will get a little better. And then, so a little bit of faith-based work and a lot of social justice and community-based social services work. And then to Helen Woodward Animal Center, which was kind of my biggest, largest stint in social media. And since that was really the last decade, that was when, social media was really starting to really be a force in the marketing world. So I kind of saw it start a little bit. And I think from my own life experience, because I had what they call an analog childhood and an analog teen. I was before the internet started, but really kind of my late teens to college years was when the internet was really starting and happening, and people were starting to use it for business and personal use and email. I feel like I have a foot in both worlds, which is kind of cool. So I understand people who, really rely on social media and apps and the internet for everything that they do. But I also understand kind of the old school folk as well. So I feel I like really interacting with both kinds of people. And so I'm going to jump into your questions, but before I jumped into those, I have a couple of bullet points that I want to say first because I feel that they're most important. So if you don't remember any of my boring stories from here on out, that's fine. But I do want you to remember these 4 points. And the first is in the nonprofit world, it's a little different from for-profit, obviously. In the for-profit or maybe services, or you're selling a product like batteries or something like that, you're really selling your product, you're selling your service. But for a nonprofit, I think what's important to remember is that you're selling your mission. And I think some nonprofits get a little lost in this, where they have a long, lengthy mission statement that's like a million sentences long. But I always really stress to nonprofits is that if you can't remember your mission statement, how are your constituents going to remember it too? And I feel it's very important because people follow a nonprofit for the work that they do and the very special community that they do it. So the mission statement at Helen Woodward, I still remember it. It's where animals help people and people help animals. Boom. And anytime I would come across content ideas, I would always throw it up against that mission statement. And if that content idea stuck, I would move forward with it. If it didn't stick, I threw it out the window. I'm not going to waste my time. And my example of that is when Star Wars, or when the Super Bowl came out like a few years ago. This is probably like a while ago, actually. And it was the car commercial with the dogs barking the Star Wars like Darth Vader theme song of like woof, 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 woof. I thought that was hilarious because I'm a giant nerd and I go to Comic-Con every year and I love Tolkien and all that good stuff. However, no one else thought it was funny because it didn't stick to our mission statement, which is, again, where people help animals and animals help people. So again, number one, stick to your mission statement. Number 2, is this valuable to whoever is going to see it? That was my second content idea that I would throw it up against. Is this valuable? Is it going to help somebody make a decision about adoption? Is this going to offer a service? We did daycare, not daycare, more like critter camp, like summer camp, but with a bunch of animal themes and education. Would they want to bring their child to that? Would that be beneficial and valuable to the kid who wanted to learn about animals, maybe to become a veterinarian? Is it going to make someone smile? That's valuable to me. It's valuable to me, especially now. I want to, sometimes people use social media to take a break. You know, we're working hard. We take 5 minutes. We go outside. We check, you know, our feeds, all that good stuff. And if someone's having a bad day, it's valuable to bring a smile to somebody's face or to lighten their day up a little bit. Or the best one is, can I empower someone to help as well? That's also that's valuable, because people do, I find, gosh, in all my work, largely people want to help. They just want to make a difference. And if you give them that opportunity through your mission, through your nonprofit, then that is valuable to the person who sees it, who wants to make a difference. The third is customer service. And I say that because we were a service-based nonprofit as well. So we had a boarding facility for critters. We had a vet hospital. We had a critter camp, like I said. And if someone had a question, or even a community question, like, I need to get my pet spayed, where do I do that? How do I do that? Who does that? How much is it? Is it expensive? I may be on a low income, but I want to be responsible. They would ask us. We were the community resource for those questions. And I feel, you know, nonprofits, we don't have a huge budget maybe. Some of you did ask about paid. Some nonprofits don't have that luxury. They just have to make it work with organic content. And so being a resource for your community or for the people that you're trying to help, if you're top of mind, that is gold. I find if you're helpful, even if someone were to ask a question of something that maybe we didn't do per se, I would find someone to help that person, even if they weren't in our organization. Maybe someone lost a cat. I had that all the time on Twitter. Oh my gosh, my cat got out. I don't know what to do. Here I have a flyer that I made on this website. You know, they would send it to us. If you see Fluffy, tell us. And I would say, give me a digital copy. I went out on Twitter as Helen Woodward, and I would tag the city that cat was from. I would tag political people, council members, local businesses in Encinitas, say, for example. And I would say, hey guys, can you signal boost this? Because we care about animals and we want Fluffy to be found. Can you please do that for this person who really needs help? And just going that extra mile of showing your mission and how you really can help your community really creates that top of mind. So if Fluffy's owner, maybe found Fluffy, hopefully, right? And next time someone says, oh gosh, we're thinking about a dog, maybe we'll adopt, but maybe we'll buy, we don't know. Fluffy's owner may say, guys, Helen Woodward, they helped me out, helped me find Fluffy. It was amazing. That opportunity that you can provide your community is amazing, and it's worth more than money. I'm telling you, it's worth more than money. And my last bullet point before I get into questions is creating conversations. I always say it's called social media for a reason. Even though in our culture today and with whatever's going on, it's not called soapbox media, which it can be and hopefully not, but it's not called soapbox media. It's called social media. And so I always, when I was thinking about content, I would always, does this invite engagement? Does this invite conversation? How is it going to engage anyone who's seeing this? So sometimes that's just asking a question. Like I would get in on a Monday morning, the weekend happened. Sometimes I would just ask hey guys, what'd you do this weekend with your pets? Any new dog-friendly hikes we need to know about? Share your favorite dog-friendly hike. And that invited conversation, people helping people. Sometimes when someone asks a question, I didn't even have to answer it because our constituency would answer it for me. They knew the answer, and I was like, go for it. Have at it. Less work for me. So anyway, so 4 points. Again, base your content on your mission statement, number 1. Throw it up against that. If it sticks to your mission, good, use it. Is this valuable? Is it going to make someone smile? Is it going to help empower someone to make a difference? Is it going to help a dog find a home? All those things are very valuable. If it sticks to that, great, use it. Does it invite conversation? Does it invite engagement and people chit-chatting in the comment section or in tweets? Again, you throw that up against the wall. If it sticks, use it. And again, the 4th, which kind of doesn't really relate to content, but it does relate to how we use social media, again, is, make sure that you're helping your community, you're helping your constituency. Be that resource, be top of mind, because again, if you go into nonprofit work, resources are tight sometimes, it's hard, and you wear all the hats and you do everything that needs to be done because you're there because of the mission too. And that will really extend your influence without the paid budget. So, okay, so I'm just going to jump into these questions. And I'll go through as many as I can, and I'll stop in like 15 minutes, and you tell me, Isabel, if I'm going too far, let me know. I get kind of, goofy stories and all that stuff. So let's see. Number 1, are there challenges to working for a nonprofit versus a for-profit organization? If so, what are they? And that's where I got into a little bit with the budget. Yeah, resources are tight. They're tight. And there is the outside, I wouldn't say influence, but people are watching how you spend it. So your donors give it to you because they expect that their money will make a difference. And how you spend that money means something. And people are watching what you do with it. And so that is a little like, you're in a little bit of a fishbowl. You are, if you do decide to do paid social, which I did, not a whole lot, but I did do that. There is a little bit of scrutiny as to how you run things and how you spend things. So resources, we talked about money, time, because sometimes in nonprofit work, whatever needs to be done, you do it. And that means picking up dog poop on a photo shoot. I don't have another person to do this. I'm the one that's got to do it. So that's also, someone said, what's a secret thing about your job that no one would know? It was a lot of poop, a lot of pet poop. I'll be honest, not fun. And then people, again, resources, you only have so much. You're trying to be careful with the money. You want to make sure that it goes to, you want to be good stewards. So you definitely always triple check of how am I using this money? Is it going to go for a cause that's going to get a return on my investment? So I would say that's kind of the biggest. And then also because of that limitation of resources, there is, you guys might have heard this, I don't know, but there is a compassion fatigue where you just get tired. You're tired, you're overworked, and that is very real. It's very real in the nonprofit world. It's very real in animal welfare. Any nonprofit where you deal with life. I mean, we're dealing with life and death circumstances sometimes. And that weighed on me a lot. And, there were times when, there were hard days. I'll be honest. There were hard days when we had to make, we tried our best. A puppy came in really sick and we did our best. And we wanted the best and we made sure he got the best care, but that happens. Or you have your volunteers don't show up. Holy smokes, what do I do? You got to do it. It's on you. And so boundary keeping is very important. And I can talk about that later. There's a question, of are you just inundated in social media all the time? And the answer is no, I'm not. But, making sure that you take care of yourself. Self-care is very important in nonprofit work. And I've said that first because I believe it's very, very important. It's awesome work. It feeds your soul, but you need to take care of yourself because you're taking care of others out there too. Let's see. Number 2, Working for the animal center, did you find certain platforms perform better than others, and which ones? It depended who I was talking to or what programs I was sharing. For example, we did like a year-end donation campaign, which is, mostly for folks who need like a good tax write-off, and we wanted to remind them like, hey, you donate to us, you can get a tax write-off at the end of the year. So we focused that to Facebook because that's where all our grandparents are. And they're the one who are retired and have the money. So I would really gear toward year-end giving to Facebook because that demographic and that constituency was more likely to donate in the way that we were trying to and praying and hoping that we would get donations from. Another example would be we have an event called Pomicon, not Comic-Con, but Pomicon, like paw. It's held at the Comic-Con Museum. And no offense, but, my grandparents wouldn't go to that. So, yeah, we would share it on Facebook, but we really stressed Snapchat and Instagram for promoting that event. We did some paid video. We did some paid Insta stories on that to get, the demographic that would be likely to receive the information that we were trying to get them to come. Hey, Comic-Con's a fundraiser. You can dress up, cosplay with your dog. Doesn't that sound fun? My mom would have no idea what I was talking about if I would share that. So again, who you want to talk to depends on which platform you use because, people of varying ages and demographics use different platforms for different reasons. And the third, which is kind of an interesting one because we're kind of living it a little bit, is definitely crisis management breaking news. We would use on Twitter for that. I mean, Twitter's great. You just need to signal boost something as far and wide as you can. Boom. I mean, we had the fires a few years ago. We had to evacuate 400 animals, and we did in the space of 3 hours because we signal boosted that, and the local news got a hold of it, local celebrities, news anchors, all that's, just everybody was sharing, hey, they need to get their animals out. How can I help? I want to help. And so Twitter was a great way to use that. So again, it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish and who you're trying to talk to. Okay. Number 3, did you use tactics such as brand ambassadors, takeovers, or influencers in any way? Yes, we had a program called Remember Me Thursday, and you guys can go look it up online. It's remembermethursday.org. And it's a social media awareness day. It's the 4th Thursday of every September, and we have a lot of celebrities that participate. So we have Katherine Heigl. Gosh, who else? We had, it's a lot of older celebrities who you may not know. Some of them I didn't know, but some sports figures. We had some baseball players, hockey players from the LA Kings to Boston Bruins. Had Padres, who I was super excited because that's my home team. So we did use a lot of that brand ambassadorship. That one was probably the largest thing that I've done because it was like a fire hose of content in one day. And since I think it ran 6 years when I was at the center, and I was able to calculate that by the time that I left of 2019 was September 2019 was when I transitioned out. That program had generated over 1 billion social media impressions because of those brand ambassadors. So if you're on a nonprofit, try to get it for free, always first. I will say it's nice to know people in that business because we had someone working as an intermediary with those relationships who knew the publicists and could kind of back channel in. So it's good to network and it's good to have those relationships for brand ambassadors. Let's see, which campaign has been most successful and why? I would say that was Remember Me Thursday. But it's interesting how I measure success. So I said 1 billion social media impressions, which sounds really impressive, right? But where is the ROI? Where is the return on investment for all those social media impressions? And I would say it's hard to tell with awareness campaigns because you're generating, we don't know how many actions. People want to ask, well, how many adoptions was that? And because I can't see that whole story of, oh, someone saw a tweet from Katherine Heigl. Then they went to, their local animal shelter's website. Then they sent that animal shelter an email, and then they went in and adopted. I can only see the first kind of 2 parts, but then that story drops off. So awareness campaigns were harder for me to measure, like what I felt was most impactful. Personally, I would say my most successful campaign was always the really harder to adopt animals. Those were always my favorite and the ones that I felt personally most gratified, and that was most soul filling for me. There was one, we took in animals from Superstorm Sandy in 2012, and Southwest flew over a plane full of critters. They all sat in seats. They had crates in their seats, and they all got turns out to go potty during the flight, and it was awesome, and Southwest was amazing. And one of the kitties that came, his name was Tommy, and Tommy was diabetic, and he had diabetic neuropathy. So that just means that you get like tinglies in your hands or your feet, and it's hard to walk, and treating diabetes sometimes will fix that issue. Who's Tommy, a diabetic, cat that can't really walk and is kind of older, and he's a senior animal, is a hard sell for some people. He was hard. But we did a campaign about, I call them man kitties because they're my favorite, but why a man kitty is snuggly and why he's amazing, and how it's not about, what he may look like, but it's about what's inside. And so when he was adopted, that was the most gratifying. And it was always the seniors or the ones with health issues that I loved the best. So even though it wasn't the biggest, it was the biggest for me. Let's see. How do you check and stay on top of latest updates and innovations in new platforms? It's hard. I mean, I have a few blogs and kind of people in the space that are like thought leaders about social media. The 2 that I really like, I wrote down their names. It's Brian Solis is one. His last name is Solis, S-O-L-I-S. And the other one is a dude by the name of Jay Bear, and that's Jay like a blue jay, and his last name is B-A-E-R. And they have a lot of free resources, especially Jay Bear has a lot of guest posts, has a lot of webinars. I like webinars. Someone asked about podcasts, and I don't know, something about like seeing something in front of me. That's just how I learn the best. So I find that those webinars, even if they may be trying to sell you a product, I still usually learn something really valuable. So I would say get out there and find all those, follow them, follow blogs, follow people that do a good job. Just follow organizations that do a good job that you like. Like, what do you like? What do you latch onto? What post or tweet do you scroll by and you're like, you stop and you read because it's so provocative? Follow those organizations and see what they do. Don't copy it verbatim, but you can see what they do and copy how they do it. Okay. Let's see. What is your biggest challenge that I have faced? Oh yeah, this is a 2-parter because it's the same answer. So the first question is, what is the biggest challenge you have faced as a social media marketer? Is it hard to keep up with competitors in the same similar industry? Yes, it is very hard. I would say the answer to both those questions of being the biggest challenge is always making money, because that's why we're there, and it's to keep it running. We need to make money. We need to get those donations. So that was always kind of the biggest challenge that I had. And again, I mentioned like year-end giving. That was always hard. Giving Tuesday, I'm sure you guys have heard of before. That was hard because every fundraiser on the planet is trying to ask for money on the same day during the same time. And it was hard to create a campaign that stood out, that was different. We did a live stream of puppies one year, and anytime we had our donation campaign, we used Classy, was kind of our payment processing, donation processing app. And anytime a donation came through Classy, we gave the puppies a toy. And they were tiny puppies, and we were giving them, like, some of these toys were huge, and it was weird, but it worked, whatever. And by the end, they were crawling over mountains of toys, hopefully, and it was ironic. So in that regard, it was a way to stand out and get more money. And anytime someone would give over $50, we'd write their name and tell them thank you personally. So, but it's hard to stand out, especially when, everyone, needs to get volunteers. Everyone needs people at their events for fundraisers. People need donations. It's hard to compete in that. Do I prefer user-generated content or organic content when it comes to posting? As long as it's honest and tells a good story and relates to my mission and the organization, I don't care. It can come from anyone. I can write it, and a doctor could write it, a volunteer could write it, the news could write it. I don't care. As long as it hit those 3 content points that I shared in the beginning, I would use it. Again, is it based on your mission? Is it valuable and helpful? And does it create conversation? What does a typical work day look like for you? Well, now I work from home. This is it. That's my work day. It's amazing. I do have a little dog, but she's out in the other room because she barks at the Amazon delivery guy. So she's that girl. She can't stay in here during this. But at the center, I will use that. It was crazy because you never know what would show up some days. We transported most of our animals, our adoptable critters came, 90% or more, came from overburdened shelters. And sometimes we didn't know what we were going to get on a transport. Something would show up and it would be a mommy dog with 12 puppies. And that was amazing because there's 12 of them and they're all amazing and cute and squishy. And we always wanted to share the cutest stuff. Or let's see, I wrote down some other things. It was the fires. I mean, oh my gosh, I woke up that day not thinking I was going to have to share that we needed 400 animals evacuated in 3 hours. I did not know. We had an equine hospital, so a horse hospital also on the site. We had a mama who gave birth to twin foals, which is really rare, and it's really dangerous if it happens. And they stayed in ICU, and they lived, and they're healthy, amazing horses. They're beautiful. But I didn't know when I came in that day. That was literally my first week was those twin foals. By the way, their name's Sunny and Angel. They're adorable. Now they're like 10, so they're old and big, but they were so cute. So my day was always crazy. And I think for social media, stuff happens really fast. The news can move, or trending topics fly at you. You don't know all of a sudden that, this dorky hashtag is going to trend this day, but you want to participate as a nonprofit and try to get some, fun awareness around your organization. So you got to be flexible, but you also have to have a plan. So I won't go into content calendaring that much, but definitely really focus on content calendaring as that was always like my base, my foundation. If ever I got, a little astray or confused or like stuff's happening around me, I could always rely on my system of creating content, and that would always keep me really, really focused. So teacher, I could go on at least for another 20 minutes, but you tell me what your time is like. 10 more?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do 10 more minutes. All right.
10 more minutes. Sounds
so
good.
I got till 10 more minutes. Okay, let's see. In addition to your work, do you find that social media consumes your life, or do you have to regulate consumption? It used to. It doesn't so much anymore. And again, that falls back to the compassion fatigue thing and kind of taking care of myself and having boundaries. When I first started, I wanted to do a really good job. We all do when we start something new. We just want to do a good job. And so I would find myself like kind of sneaking in after hours and making sure everyone's behaving and no like silly trolls are on my Facebook posts and all of that. And I just had to stop. Like, unless there was something critical happening, I made sure that my private was private and my work was work. And I mean, I say if you're serious about nonprofit work, do not link up your personal accounts. Just make a business one. I had two. I had a business Facebook and a private Facebook. And my private was for family and going to the desert to see wildflowers and, endless photos of my dog and all that stuff. But my business was my business, and I would log in exclusively while I was at work during my shifts or, time or events that I was working. And keeping that separate was really important for me in being able to sustain. Again, sustainability and fatigue are a factor. So I would say do that. Again, take care of yourself. And no, it doesn't get crazy for me anymore. Right now I exclusively do LinkedIn. So a lot of B2B, we're recruiting, more of, again, the constituency that uses LinkedIn, which is, a lot of professionals. So I mostly keep on then, and I'm kind of stuck using my private one on that. But yeah, just take care of yourself and don't overwhelm yourself with so much information, because it'll fry you, and that's bad. Okay, let's see. What's another one? Do I find it hard to get motivated to work from home? No. I'm lucky enough that I have an office space right here. I did paint it that color of blue. It's a color I like. It's peaceful for me. I have made that like corkboard, Pinterest corkboard thing out of wine corks. I surround myself with stuff that I like, that makes me comfortable, that makes me laugh. I have a painting of a black cat floating on a narwhal right in front of me. It's a shame you can't see it. Maybe at the end I'll turn around and you can look at it. But so I surround myself with stuff that I like to be around, and I don't find it hard. It is lonely, and it is a challenge for someone like me who, I'm a face-to-face kind of person. I email, and I don't enjoy talking on the phone that much. But, if I just had an issue or maybe a miscommunication with someone, I just kind of like sneak attack them in their office and be like, can we talk just for 5 minutes? And that's the way I communicate best. And I can't do that here, which has been a struggle. And I'll be honest, it's a communication, hurdle that I'm, both personally and professionally learning and working on. So, but yeah, I do go to the local cat cafe still, and I do my work there sometimes, and that is very nice. So, let's see. If I were to give advice on a new incoming social media marketer, what can I tell them? I think find a place, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, that supports your creativity. I was in a very lucky place that Helen Woodward supported just creativity, and we would try different things, and we would do silly things sometimes, or new ways of how to connect. And, some things didn't work, and failure is an option. Like Adam Savage says from Mythbusters, failure is an option. And being at a place where that honors your creativity, and then also understands that not everything is going to work all the time. Stuff changes all the time. I would pray that you would find a place that is very supportive like that. So maybe as you guys start to look around, or maybe you volunteer for a nonprofit that you may be checking out, which is a good way to get your foot in the door, see about their, feel them out on that creativity. Like, do you have, license to kind of explore that, or throw out ideas, or be supportive in brainstorming, that kind of thing. Let's see. Would I recommend the nonprofit sector? I would. It feeds your soul. Like I said, it fed mine for a long time, and it still does. And that was a real hard decision for me to do when I did leave. But one of my questions for my new boss was, I care about making a difference. How does your business do that? And she was very clear to me that, well, you may not be, the one who's, asking for the donations, but you're finding that perfect person who can for this organization. And by finding that perfect person, they're going to do even better. And that kept me a little, at least connected. So I absolutely would recommend it. And again, I do recommend self-care, and I do recommend boundaries, knowing what you can and cannot do, what you are able to do. And I think my last question, because I'm kind of coming up on my time here, was, let's see, what was it? It was a good one. I did my surprise. Yeah. What is something that would surprise people about your day-to-day activities? Yeah, the poop. Oh, I did have a puppy who sometimes we got to have animals like in our offices, and like they were like being socialized because they were kind of nervous, and that puppy fear pooped all over my office, and I was desperately paging my coworkers over the channel, like, please come save me, like, please anyone come help me. But anyway, no one knows there's so much poop in animal welfare. Let's see. You're laughing. I can see it out of the top of my eyes. Oh gosh darn it. I can't find which one that I was looking for. I mean, I think it was how to get in. I think that was the one that I was interested in. And if you are interested, and maybe you're not, and that's okay. It's not for everyone, I'll be honest. Nonprofit work, can be emotionally taxing. But if you are interested in getting in, I went in part-time. It was for an operations assistant position. So it really even wasn't for something that I wanted to do, but I really loved the organization. I went there as a kid. I was a critter camper when I was a Girl Scout. I was a junior volunteer. So I went back and I did something that was a little out of the realm of what I normally do just because I wanted to get my foot in the door. I was 3 days a week. I was part-time, and it was hard because I needed a full-time job, but I did it part-time because I really liked it. And then they started to give me pieces and trust me with more, and then that position grew. And as I had successes, I documented my successes. And I think that is very important for a nonprofit because they want to see that what you're doing is making a real difference for the bottom line. And I guess any organization is, but I mean, nonprofits, again, because they're spending, they're in the fishbowl, guys. Remember, they're under the magnifying glass, whatever. And so being able to document your hard work, your ROI, your return on your investment, say, hey, I did 5 tweets about just fostering, like how to get more fosters in our foster program. And then, we got 3 more applications than we did last week. It's important to tell those successes because then they're going to see, oh, wow, we got more fosters because Marcie really put some time and really focused on the program. Okay, well, maybe you can do some 4 extra hours next week. And so think about ways that you can document your success and the return on the investment of you because they're investing in you too. So I feel that's very important. And also volunteering. Hey, you're checking them out just as much as they may be checking you out. So I would say volunteer and see if you like the organization. And if if you start to network with the staff and network with the other volunteers and they get comfortable and they start to know you, maybe there's an open position that they can snag you up for. So I will end with that. I am on LinkedIn and my last name is funny. It's not groovy, like groovy, but it's Grube, G-R-U-B as in boy, E. Feel free to send me a message if you have a follow-up question. I'd be happy to answer anything. If you want a copy of a content calendar that I used, I'll send you it. It's in a spreadsheet form, my spreadsheet brain, but please reach out. I'm more than available to help. So thank you so much for letting me talk to you guys too. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Anytime, guys.